A lot of people are talking about media bias in the coverage of the war in Gaza lately, as if this is something new, as if this is something that should shock us. Yet, for the 10 years that I was reporting for foreign publications while living in Israel, magazines and newspapers like Time, Foreign Policy, Newsweek, USA Today, I was reporting for dozens of publications from Israel. And over the course of that decade that I was doing that work, I saw a very common theme of preferring to cover stories that painted Israel as an aggressor and Palestinians as the victim, and really ignoring any story that didn't toe that narrative. So stories that I wanted to write about coexistence and about hopes for peace, about efforts to bridge gaps between Israelis and Palestinians were often ignored in preference for stories that told a very specific narrative. And often when I was writing stories that mentioned things from history like 1948, 1967, when I would try to put context in those stories about how those wars broke out. For instance, 1948, that it was the Arabs of Palestine who rejected the 1947 UN partition plan and declared war on the unborn Jewish state, and how every Arab state surrounding the newly born Jewish state joined that war after the British left Palestine, ending the British Mandate period. Any context I tried to put in about that war was always taken out, even if it was just one sentence, two sentences, and my editors would just say there was no room for that context. This isn't a story about history. It's a story about today. And what that led to was a situation where people see what's happening today. People reading the news can see what's happening today, and that's all they see. And they don't understand how we got here, the context that led to it. And as a journalist, I'm frankly pretty disgraced at the state of my profession and how far it has fallen. Because after the 1929 massacre in British Mandate Palestine, when the ancient Jewish community of Hebron was massacred by their Arab neighbors, newspapers like the New York Times weren't trying to justify these atrocities. They weren't trying to hide these atrocities. The widespread denials by Arab leaders of the atrocities that took place were presented as lies and denials. We should expect much more from our news organizations and our journalists. We should expect that between the massacre of 1929 and the massacre of October 7th, 2023, journalism would have improved, become more advanced, more sophisticated. And rather, what we're seeing is a failure of journalists to stand up to the very fundamental value of journalism, which is standing for truth,